Good afternoon. The time
Good
is
afternoon.
4:01 p.m. I'd like to call to order the June 16th meeting of the Norwalk Traffic Authority. We have a quorum. So we do the roll call. Commissioner Collier Clemens, Commissioner Palladino, Commissioner Tony Lopez, and Commissioner Nate Sumter.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a quorum, all present. Public participation. If you're here to speak on an item that's on the agenda, if you'll speak when that item is being discussed. But if you're here to speak on something else that's on the agenda you want to have a comment on, please feel free. I guess we'd have to have you raise your hand electronically. I think, Ben, are you handling this?
Darlene, is there anybody?
There is nobody raising their hand.
Okay. Well, then we have the next item, acceptance of the minutes of May 19th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to accept the minutes for
Commissioner
May
Palladino
19,
has
2025.
made the motion. Do we have any corrections, deletions, or omissions?
Yes, I would abstain from that
Okay.
vote. It's not present.
Any corrections, omissions, or additions? to
I
the
have
minute?
none.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Rowayton 5K Race to the Ice. Who's going to handle that?
So move, Mayor.
Uh,
Is there
Okay,
Annie
let's
Allen
discuss
present in the waiting room?
Mhm. So who from the Traffic Authority will handle that?
Hi, it's Jerry Allen.
Okay,
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Ben, how are you? Yeah, so we're doing a fundraiser for my son's hockey team. They're going to Pee Wee, Quebec next year, and would like to raise some money using the roads. I think I've talked to Ben about this. I think my wife talked to Tomas about this. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward race. It's effectively the turkey trot run. So you go from the community center up to Wilson, make a right, dip down to Bluff, run around Bell Island, and then across to past Bailey into the RBA, then go up 136, and then around the elementary school and back to the community center. So I think we'll have Jim Gerwick do the timing, and yeah, we'd love to see you guys there if you want.
do we have any questions from any of the commissioners?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Any comments or concerns from the police department?
No, sir. I read the plan. Looks like he has sufficient traffic officers.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you
Next
very much.
item, can we move item B?
I move item B for discussion.
Item
We'll
B
close
is,
before the Kingdom Restoration Block Party.
Okay, Ben, who's going to handle that?
For this one, we should have Kislane Basse Belazer, one of the event organizers.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, thank you. My name is Kisling Boss Belizaire, and so I've been asked by Ben to kind of talk about the street closure for the block party. We're really excited. I think we've partnered up with several churches within the area, and we're looking to see if we can come on Raymond Street. We're looking to block it from right across from where St. Matthew's is, where we would have the police station and the barricades there. And that way it would be able, the police would be able to assist us with making sure nobody turns on that street as a safety protocol as well. And then also serving as a way for them to interact with the community. On the other end of the street facing 20 and 30 Day Street, we would have the fire trucks and some of the EMT that we intend on inviting that day as well. So then that way, if they need to leave, if you notice the police department, the fire trucks, EMT would be placed at the exiting end. So then that way, if there's an emergency, the barricades would be there, but then they would also be able to leave as need be. And then I think we're working with some nurses from some of the churches and from some of the local areas. I think we're going to have the health centers there as well to do some screenings. It is going to be August, so being mindful that if the fire truck has to leave in case of an emergency, that there would be medical personnel on hand if we needed them to be as well. And then everything else, all the other vendors would be inside the street and then looking for street closure signs where either the Parks and Recs department would be able to post those. Usually in years past, when I've done them with some of the health centers, we've posted those flyers about 3 days previous. So then that way the residents who live in that area or any or any businesses would be aware that we're going to be in the area and that we're going to be blocking the street so they could move their parks, their cars accordingly.
Any questions, comments, or concerns from the authority?
Yes.
Yes.
Jose Belizaire, I do have a question on your last point.
Yes.
And I may have missed that. The part where you indicated so that they can move their cars. What advance notice are the businesses being provided on that street?
I did notice there's one or two buildings in that area. We have partnered up with Mount Zion and then Matthew's Church as well. I've reached out to Father Gee, who's agreed to allow us to for the vendors, because I think we were worried about how the flow was going to be. So if there's a concern with parking, Mount Zion would be opening their parking lot so then we can have parking spaces available for the vendors coming, and St. Matthew's as well. And if need be on the day of the event, those businesses could also utilize those 2 parking areas as well.
But with regards to, I know you mentioned several ministries or churches, but the non-religious that I'm looking at here, like the flags.com, the Capuli, and so forth. So will they be provided advance notification of what to expect is my question?
Yeah, that's where we would, I've spoken to Mr. Young and we're asking if they usually in years past, I've done health fairs with other organizations in Bridgeport and also in Stanford. Traditionally, what the city will do is the city will issue the no parking signs. Either Parks and Recs can put them, or a couple of days before, I can get some volunteers to put them up to give those businesses a chance to move. If worse comes to worse, again, there would be parking on the street, or if you wanted to, Mount Zion has graciously agreed to allow us to park there. So then that way we're not causing any congestion with the street parking.
So my concern is, of course, enough advance notice. For example, the restaurants get deliveries. If they get a delivery with a truck, where are they going? Where is the truck gonna go, and how they're gonna know?
So
That as an example.
we're only blocking the front of, do you see where the fire truck is?
Yes.
That would be blocked. I believe those businesses, when I drove past their entrance, I'm not blocking that area.
Okay.
So if they needed, I believe their parking is in the back where is in the back area where you see St. Paul's and all that. Their parking entrance, I believe, is in the back. And usually on Saturdays, in the morning, would they be getting deliveries?
I don't know.
Okay.
It might
But
not.
again, there would be flyers that we would get from the city to notify them in advance.
Okay,
I'm happy to put up those flyers, or Parks and Recs can put them up a week in advance or 3 days in advance to give them ample time to be aware of the fact that there's going to be an event happening and that there's going to be a road closure on Raymond Street. So if you wanted to, we could get Parks and Recs or traffic control could put up those signs a week or 2 weeks earlier if need be, up until the day of the event to give them a heads up.
thank you.
My question was similar.
Absolutely.
I'm not very much interested in the churches and their parking because it's Saturday and they usually don't have events, and you're partnering with them for additional parking
Yes.
spaces for your vendors. However, the businesses will be there at all times. And like Commissioner Lopez said, I don't think that 3 days notice for the restaurant and the other businesses is enough time. And flyers, I think that's an affront to the businessmen
Mhm,
and the businesswomen in that on that street.
mhm.
I think they should be given directly to them
Yes.
and talk with them and tell them,
Mhm.
I don't know, now, is this the first time that this block party has been held, or has
So-
it been held in the past here?
So in years past, this block party was held at Baker's Funeral Home. I believe they've done it for a couple of years. Last year they did at Baker's Funeral Home, and it didn't impact any of the businesses at all. If you are worried about how that would impact the businesses, I have every intention, once you guys give us the approval, to go down to the business owners and introduce and speak to them about that event, and hopefully they would like to partner with us as well. But if you're worried about that, we could ask, I can ask Mr. Ben, or if we can have, or the traffic division, if we can put up those flyers sooner, like 2 or 3 weeks sooner. But once you guys give us the approval, I will go down there and introduce myself to the business owners and give them the flyer, and also give them an opportunity to participate in this event as well, because we want to showcase some of the businesses that people may not be aware that is in that area back there as well.
Now, I'm not worried about it. I'm concerned
Yes.
for the businesses, and we
Yeah.
want them to know that we are concerned about their welfare
Mhm.
and and about their customers.
Yeah.
While at the same time, we want to honor your event,
Mhm.
but we don't want to alienate those businesses that will be there after your event is over.
Yes.
So that's my concern, but not my worry.
Yeah. I promise you that I will make it our business to make sure that we try to get these businesses to come on board and become partners with us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
When you say partner with them, what exactly do you mean, partner? Is there, because I think you said you were raising funds? Is that correct?
I mean, I think in years past, when I've held, like when I've done this for the health center, one of the things that I've done is, like, let's say like there's a market or there's a restaurant nearby, I've always notified them. I've always given them a chance to, if they want their logos to go on the flyer or that day, because I think we want to showcase the businesses in that area as well. If they want to assist financially, they can, or however they want to. But we like to introduce them to the neighborhood so that way they would get business once the event is done.
If they are there, aren't they getting businesses from the neighborhood? When you said introduce them to the neighborhood, they're in the neighborhood.
They are, but I think everybody may not be aware that they're located back there. So again, if we're going to be in their neighborhood, we want to bring awareness to some clients that may be, to some folks who may not be aware that they're located there as well.
Okay.
Any
I
further
think
questions?
everything
Okay,
has been answered
Mr.
except,
Palladino?
yeah,
I-
I think everything has been answered for me except, did we agree to a time frame where we would give the notice? Meaning we talked about 3 days and a week or 2 weeks before.
I don't think we've come to a hard decision on that.
Okay,
Once you make the decision and you tell us yes, I will go down there and I will go introduce myself. I will give each one of these businesses the flyer as well.
Yeah, we would just hope that at least they're given ample enough time.
Yeah.
I would suppose at least 2 to 3 weeks, as much advance time for them to prepare if they need to.
Yes. Once I get a yes, I will make sure that I will go over and meet the managers. I will give them the flyer, and also make them aware that this event would be happening in August as well.
Now, this is for staff because I can't remember. Is this one way going down today or the opposite? Because I'm trying to figure out the flow of such traffic. In other words, if they're if there's a pattern of of custom whereby businesses come down that street, I don't know that for sure. It may not be, but if there is around the corner to say the one on Day Street, then that might cause perhaps another level of concern, alerting them that that's gonna now be closed.
Yeah, Raymond
So
Street is one way from South Main to Day.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's like to the left or immediate right of that street there to the Raymond Street, and I know I see the park, of course.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that I don't know if there are other businesses that are not listed there that might be adversely affected if they're expecting that flow of traffic coming down. I don't know that.
From what I could see when I drove down, Day Street, when you come down, most of Day Street is the buildings. It's 2030, I think like 2030 Day Street. It's a lot of the buildings on the side, opposite of the park, right across from the park. The restaurants, as you mentioned, and St. Paul is down that way.
So across from Ryan Park, across is from the John Ryan Park is residential. Is that correct or
Pretty
incorrect?
much.
Okay. And the adjacent building is also residential, so there's no concern there.
No, we're not really blocking a lot of businesses.
Okay.
The Latina restaurant, I've already spoken to them and they are aware that we're going to be there as well. I spoke to them about 2 months ago. Theflags.com in St. Paul's is the only other person, and I think that's the bike shop, and I'm happy to reach out to them as well.
Okay. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Any further comments or questions?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
I have
Any,
none.
anything from the police department?
I contacted Sergeant, and I'm so sorry if I murdered his name, Ehart. He's on board. I've also contacted the fire marshal. He's also on board as well. And I believe I'm going to be getting the police car, and I'm also going to be getting some motorcycles as well.
Okay. Chief, any further comment or any from your staff?
No concerns, sir.
Very good. Okay, if there are no further questions, all in favor of approving this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'll need somebody to move item C.
I move item C for discussion.
Okay, that's the proposed full closure for the Pine Point Labor Day party. Do we have someone here to speak on that?
is there Mr. Drew Seath?
I'm sorry, Ben, what was the name?
Drew
Oh,
C.
yep, I see it.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Hello, Mayor Rilling.
Hello?
Pine Point, the Pine Point area of Norwalk has had a summer party for 20 some years. We're basically asking to be able to do the same thing we've done in the past, which is to close off a small section of Crescent Beach Road and reroute the traffic through other roads in the Pine Point area. We've done this, as I said, very successfully for 20 some years and would love for the ability to continue to do that. We'd close the
Questions
road
from the-
about 4 o'clock and reopen it by 10 p.m.
Any questions from the commissioners?
If they've done this for a number of years, the road closure, it just happens and you have the police department is involved, Drew?
Nate the Great, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. We use private security instead of the police. We had several years ago, we just had a challenge because it's, a summer evening of Labor Day weekend when there's a lot of other stuff going on. And actually, at the police department's suggestion, I want to say 6, 7 years ago, we switched to having a private security company come, and they help us. Usually, the police drive by at some point as well, but we hire a private security company to actually make sure that everything's okay. We borrow cones from the 6th taxing district to put up and block the roads as well.
Will
Further
there
comments?
be, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Commissioner Lopez.
Will there be any liquor at all at the event that might need to be managed?
None that's supplied by the association.
Okay, thank you.
The people will be bringing their own, am I correct?
We don't monitor that. We also don't, we don't supply formal food. There's been talk of possibly using a food truck this year. But in the past, we haven't had an official food supply, if you will. But it would be, if we do that, it would be a professional, organization that comes in that I assume would have all the proper licensing.
Any comments or discussion?
I have no further comment nor discussion.
Neither do I, Mayor.
The two roads, Nearwater and Ensign Road, the lot of residential.
Yes, sir. And all of the residents in this area are part of the association and would be invited to the party.
Okay.
And we communicate to them, well in advance, they're invited to the party and we, as you might imagine, are very proactive in communicating about the road closures.
Okay.
They can still get out going, north on Ensign or north on Nearwater or north on Pine Point. It's just that one corner that gets closed off.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Collier-Clemens?
I have no questions.
Police Department, do you have any concerns?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor of item C?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
That
Yes.
brings us to item D, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it. Item D.
Okay. I know this is going to probably generate a lot of comment or questions. So, Ben, who's going to be here to speak on this?
We have the Assistant Rail Administrator, Miss Caroline Kieltika from Condot.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Kieltika, when you're ready, you can go ahead and speak to this.
All right,
basic-
can you guys
yeah.
hear me?
We can.
All right,
If I could
fantastic.
let me just explain something to the commissioners so they know right away what we're dealing with. You know where Main Avenue and New Canaan Avenue is by Dunkin' Donuts, am I correct?
Yes,
And there's a railroad crossing right there.
Yep.
yes.
They need to do work there, so they're gonna close off that entire part. So you cannot make a left or right-hand turn down onto New Canaan Avenue. And you can't come up onto New Canaan Avenue from that roadway. So, and it's gonna be for several days, I believe. So, Ms. Kyletic, if you
Almost.
want,
I can start if you guys are ready.
yep,
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Caroline Keltica, and I'm the Assistant Rail Administrator here in DOT's Office of Rail. So here to present on the New Canaan Avenue closure. So Metro North Railroad needs to replace the at-grade highway rail crossing infrastructure at the New Canaan Avenue Route 123 in your city due to existing components approaching the end of its serviceable life. So in order to replace these components and provide a smooth roadway surface for vehicle traffic, the entire crossing must be removed and replaced. This will require a full closure of New Canaan Avenue for the duration of the work, which is projected to consume 5 days, scheduled for August 1st through August 5th. Replacement of these railroad crossings infrastructure through these crossings is unlike other highway roadwork, where temporary lane closures can suffice while maintaining a reduced traffic flow. The steel rails and crossings are continuous and must be replaced in full so that there are no joints or rail welds in the crossing. As the crossings are constructed to last 25 or more years, the integrity of the rail is of the utmost importance in realizing both the long life and the smooth roadway surface. So as road closures for crossing replacements are a considerable inconvenience to the traveling public, we understand that. Also inconvenience to local businesses, transit services, and emergency service providers. They must be expedited to the greatest extent possible and well coordinated so that all affected stakeholders are notified in advance and have the opportunity to plan for these closures. When we do these crossings, there is an inconvenience to the public, but if they are mitigated to the best possible degree between us, our railroad operator, as well with the city, they're short and temporary. And while these improvements to the infrastructure are long lasting, and there'll be little disruptions for future decades. So for us, it is well understood the importance of the Main Street Avenue and New Canaan Avenue connection between the Merritt Parkway as well as Route 7 interchange at the New Canaan Ave. The existing traffic levels on US Route 1 are also understood. These considerations are factored in when Connecticut DOT traffic engineering creates detour plans. Our traffic engineering team has the experience in managing these crossings and these detour plans for many roadways. So I'd also like to mention that while we're talking about the New Canaan Ave crossing replacement here, it is one of 3 crossings being replaced on the line. There will be a full closure of the Danbury line from August 1st through August 17th to support the replacement of this grade crossing, as well as the Kent Road crossing in Wilton and the South Kent crossing in Bethel. So part of these grade crossing replacements, there will also be drain and improvements along the line as well. So you guys are looking at now the detour plan. So I'll just kind of highlight the 3 detour routes that are considered. So the first one that you all have on your screen is our state roads. So the main detour route is planned to utilize Route 123. So that's Main Street, US Route 1, that's Cross Street and Belden Avenue, and Route 809 Riverside Avenue. All of these roadways are under state maintenance and authority and will provide appropriate detour for all manner of vehicles that would normally utilize the New Canaan Avenue. All of these intersections are signalized. If you could move to the next one right there. So this is the local road option. This is a route utilizing Grand Streets 1 and 2, Catherine Street, and Main Street. This is being offered as a secondary detour route. The intersections at Grand, New Canaan, and Catherine, Main are signalized. Our traffic engineering group has recommended that the project provide an officer at the intersection of Tyndall and Grand due to the jog in that intersection. And the Catherine Street Railroad crossing would need to see train traffic through construction, but it'll be slow. That's further south. So these roads are owned and maintained by the city, and utilization of this detour would be under the city's authority. So therefore, here today to need your approval to post a secondary detour for this route. And then moving on to the third detour there. This is the pedestrian detour. This would be a route utilizing Tyndall Avenue, Grand Street, number 1 there, Catherine Street, and Main Street is also being offered. CDOT would erect specific pedestrian detour signage to accommodate. So this authority would also be required from the city to post this detour. And additionally, I don't know, Ben, if you have the Kent Road detour map, that's okay. Additionally, Metro North is also, as I mentioned earlier, replacing railroad crossing in Wilton at Kent Road, where the detour does dip down into Norwalk on Old Belden Road and Grist Mill Road. Wilton has provided a recent daily traffic count of 2,600 vehicles on Kent Road. So authority would also be required from the city to post the local portion of this route as well. Detour signage will be installed in advance by us. Oh, there it is right there. By either us or Metro North. All the signs, the detour signs will remain covered until the day of the closure. And once the detour is in place, and the VMS signs are reprogrammed to reflect the closure, Connecticut will monitor the traffic flow through the detour, and we will be prepared to add any additional signage if any issues are observed. I can then move into just quickly highlighting policing. So when we do these closures, police details are normally worked out with either the Connecticut State Police, MTA PD, or the municipality for police protection at the work sites based upon the agreed staffing. Normally 1 or 2 police cruisers, officers are placed at the construction site, 1 at each side of the work zone, or at least in the most sensible location. We, Connecticut, are suggesting at the east of the crossing at the intersection with Main Street Avenue, as the only traffic on New Canaan Avenue will be exiting traffic from Duncan onto Main. So the entrance to New Canaan Ave would be barricaded and barreled off at the edge of Main. So there would be an exit only there. On the west end of the crossing, at the intersection with Grand and Route 7 ramps, there will also be businesses open signage to accommodate for the First District Water Department, the Parts Authority store, and the Fairfield County Firearms and Archery Shooting Range, which are the only businesses requiring access to New Canaan Ave between Grand and the crossing. If we do get authority for the local road detour, Connecticut DOT, our traffic engineering team, suggests an officer at the uncontrolled Grand Street number 1 and 2 to assist with guiding traffic. So Metro North PD will be getting in contact with the Norwalk Police Department to further coordinate the policing for this project. So also to add, the worksite area will be protected with reflective barricades, traffic barrels, and other visible devices to warn the public of the removal of the track roadway surfaces. And appropriate signage will warn the pedestrians of the sidewalk closure and direct them to the posted pedestrian detour route if authorized by the authority. I'd also just like to comment on the communications during this outage. So Connecticut DOT, we will utilize an email chain throughout the life of the project that includes all municipal emergency service providers, transit, transportation, trucking association, and railroad stakeholders. This chain is updated to provide real-time project information, such as the timelines, schedules, detour changes, project delays, road closures, anticipated openings, and ultimately when the road is open. So I know Ben has shared with us, we will definitely make sure to include the road closures at norwalkct.gov within our communications. This email chain will also be in place to engage in conversations about any concerns as the project approaches construction, so that all concerns can be addressed in a timely manner. Our Commissioner's Communication Office will produce a very detailed press release that'll explain the project, alert to potential traffic delays, and provide customer care contact information for people with any questions. For this project, the release will also encourage persons who do not have immediate business on the main Ave as well as the New Canaan Ave to plan for alternate routes. This release will also be shared on the email chain that we will create to all the stakeholders so that they can share that opportunity on local websites, local social media, and any other outlets to alert the public to the pending closure. Our Commissioner's Communication Office will also engage with the City of Norwalk's public outreach person to ensure that the city has all the up-to-date information for communication for all their social media notification and outreach. Our Connecticut DOT's legislative liaison will also communicate the project and road closures with the appropriate legislative delegation into the Council of Government. And then 2 weeks prior to the start of this project, signage will be put up at the crossing to alert the public to the start date and the duration of the closure. Temporary variable message signs will also be placed at strategic locations ahead of the closure to alert the public to the pending closures. For the trailers with the large displays, there will be alternate to message. So for this project, it would probably read like Route 123 to close at Railroad Crossing, and it would then move to August 1st through August 5th. During the actual construction, the verbiage will be changed to indicate the road is closed at the crossing. When it gets close to August 1st, we will do a pre-construction site visit, which will be organized with all stakeholders so that we're all prepared for the closure. And by the time of this pre-construction visit, all outstanding concerns and questions should have already all been addressed. And I'd also just like to highlight that during the road closure, Connecticut DOT, our Highway Operations Center in Bridgeport, will have the cell phone navigation apps block the New Canaan Avenue crossing location. So this will prevent any unfamiliar motorists from being routed over the crossing. Navigation applications will also recognize any traffic delays on the posted detour route and reroute traffic away from any of these areas. So that's some of my remarks, and I can answer any questions.
I just have one quick question. I might have missed it, but there will be law enforcement traffic controls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or the whole 5 days?
Yes, and that police coordination, Metro North will be reaching out to the Norwalk Police Department on that.
Any commissioners have any questions or concerns?
I have none.
While I may have some concerns, I think it was Caroline explained it in well enough detail, so I have no questions.
Commissioner Palladino?
I have none, thank you.
Commissioner Sumter?
I have none. I thought that the entire, what she said made a lot of sense, and she really, really went into a lot of details. So any questions that I may have, I don't have anymore because it was well explained.
Chief Walsh?
Yes, I have one question. You said that we had an option between detour number 1 and detour number 2.
So the first detour that is shared on the screen now, that'll be the detour, one of the detours that are posted. The second one that on the next one, if Ben, if you could go down to that next one, this is the local road option. So we're offering this as a secondary detour route. We know that passenger or vehicle traffic in the area will always find an additional way to try to get around. And so knowing that this is another potential detour on your local roads, we are seeking the approval from the authority to be able to sign this as an additional secondary detour to the main detour, which is the longer route of the Main Street cross Belden Avenue to Riverside Avenue.
Okay. Just curious, what about messaging for commuters that use the Merritt Parkway and then Main Avenue to cut across down Main Avenue to get on I-95? That's a common route especially in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they get off at 14 and come up the connector, and then they use that intersection to get back on the Merritt Parkway northbound. So there's going to have to be some form of messaging for commuters on the Merritt Parkway not to get off on Main Avenue expecting that they could access I-95 via Main Avenue and 123.
Yep, understood. I know we received comments from the authority and recommended placements of detour signage on Route 7, and our traffic engineering team is currently looking at that. But we hope, I detailed a lot of the communication strategy that we do use with our DOT communications team, with all of our socials and our press releases, as well as working together with the city's communications team and through all of your like social media notifications and outreach. We hope that in addition to any type of signage that we could put out there, a lot of our outreach through those means would also deter traffic away from the area.
Yeah, they should be advised to get off on New Canaan Avenue if that's the route, and then come down 123. Yeah, and if you could tag or share anything with the NOAA PIO, so we could message our local residents.
Okay. Can you say that again? You said you said PIO?
Yeah, press information officer.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments or discussion?
I have-
Hearing none.
I have.
All in favor of this
Aye.
item?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Kilteek. I'm not sure I pronounced your name right.
Thank you so much.
Now that brings us, can I get somebody to move item E?
I'll move item E for discussion.
So that's the Eversource new transmission line foundations work, Fort Point Street at Smith Street, South Smith. Who is going to handle that?
We have Miss Justine Sear on the line.
Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we
Loud
are.
and clear.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So we just finished up our work in May of this year, and we had our engineering team go down and just inspect the area, and they noticed some areas that needed some retentioning. So we have to go back in July and under another outage and re-clip some areas that need some additional work. So we're looking to come out between what would be impacting the area between July 8th and July 10th. It's about a day and a half of a disruption, and the work hours would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we would need a single enclosure, much like the same single enclosure that we've requested in the past. And I know that we're requesting from the 8th to the 10th. We figured we would put in an extra day just in case if we need it, if there's any weather delays or any rain, because with electrical work, we can't work in the rain. So, but we're assuming that we'll probably be spending anytime we're at the area, in this proximity, we'll be spending about a half hour at a time. So, and we'll need to go back and forth about 4 or 5 times. So about a day and a half total.
So this is the same closure that you had not too long ago, is that correct?
That's correct. Same single lane. I think it's a little shorter actually because our impact is less.
A little inconvenient, but it didn't present any problems that I could see.
Right. And then we'll also have police detour as well. And then I also want to mention that our outreach team will be updating our website and reaching out about a week in advance at the minimum.
And what
Uh,
did you
cool.
say was the length? I missed that. I just,
Sure, it'll be about a day and a half worth of work, but we're
okay.
requesting to work between the 8th and the 10th, just in case if we need any extra time. But
Okay.
we expect that our impact should be, it'll be starting on the 8th, and we may be able to wrap up by maybe even the 9th.
What was your time frame for, or the time that you would start and end your day?
It would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So all daytime work. And this is during the week.
Any further comments or discussions?
I have
I
none, Mayor.
I have none.
I have none.
Chief, do you have any concerns or comments?
I do not. I do not. This was, to your point, though, what's been done before.
Okay. All in favor of item E?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item F, I believe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. That brings us to item F, TMP. Vernell, can somebody move that?
I'll move item F, TMP.
Okay. Ben, are you going to handle this?
This one will be Mr. Garrett
For
Villar.
Garrett.
Great. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
So the item before you today builds on all the momentum from the Wall Street Neighborhood and Corridor Improvement Project that's currently underway on the Wall Street and the Wall Street, East Wall Street section of the roadway. So if you drive by there today, you'll see that we're moving pretty quickly along the southerly curb and working within the next month or so to really complete all of those sidewalks before switching to the northerly side of the roadway. But the project and this proposal that's here before you tonight is really about teeing everything up for the next phase of the project, which will take place from where the construction is today, up Main Street and throughout Burnell Boulevard. So the proposal that you have before you is to really convert this one block of the roadway, which you see today outlined in red, to two-way operations. It's one-way westbound today. The actual Burnell Boulevard Bridge is currently operating two ways today. So this is really a proposal to make the roadway consistent throughout its entirety. One of the historical and the previous challenges was that this road needed to really be one way to accommodate Norwalk Transit District and the operations of the single pulse point, which really served the entire city. But since that time, and as of recently, the Norwalk Transit District has gone through a comprehensive operations analysis and looked at really the demands of transit users across the city and looked at all their existing route structures and really come up with a vision for the future. And we've been coordinating very closely with the transit district. And part of that vision for the future is not to have just one single pulse point across the city, but to move through to several much smaller hubs that will be located throughout the city, which really, at the end of the day, is going to reduce the actual footprint of the pulse point that operates on Burnell Boulevard. We've also had a lot of conversations with the transit district about the benefits of two-way operations on the roadway. So They are moving forward with a sleeker, smaller in size and scale operation here, and it's going to allow the Pulse Point to not have to be configured the way it is today, which is buses all pulling in at the same time at an angle in the sawtooth configuration, which necessitated the roadway or much of the roadway being allocated to the transit hub. In the future, buses will be able to, if they're westbound, pull in on the northerly curb, and if they're eastbound, pull in on the southerly curb. And that's going to allow us to move forward with the redesign of the Greater Wall Street area with this as a two-way street, but also greatly improve transit operations as well. So the Norwalk Transit District, so why now? The Norwalk Transit District is looking to implement their new route operations in very early August. So we're seeking to move forward with this conversion of the project, although even though the phase 2 construction of this roadway won't take place until the following fall, 2026. And just to reiterate, there's really a number of benefits to making this section two-way in the future. From an economic development perspective, it greatly improves access to the Yankee Doodle Garage, which has an entrance on River Street in Burnell Boulevard. But to enter on Burnell Boulevard, if you're coming from the west, you have to drive all the way around the neighborhood, which is really inconvenient, and also adds circulating traffic to Wall Street. Making it two-way will also improve access to the commercial access drives, the post office, and multi-use development that's occurring to the north as well. So it will also benefit the community. It will create redundancy in the network. Wall Street is the first major crossing north of 95, first major east-west crossing. So this will give us some redundancy. For example, when there's construction on Wall Street, we can use this route as a detour route. Or for example, when River Street is closed, there's a desire for it to be a festival street in the future. And there's already been several events that take place there. We'll have easy access to the garage because the roadway will be two-way, and we can use the entrance along Burnell Boulevard as well. So there's a number of different benefits, whether it's improving access to the local destinations. Certainly talked a little bit about how it'll improve transit operations, but also this is supportive of our larger $30 million investment into the neighborhood. So happy to answer any questions that you may have, but we're really looking for an approval from you today, and we would work towards August of making this a reality and working closely with the transit district to work on the newly configured transit operations.
Yeah, thank you, Garrett. I know this has been a long time discussion and certainly consistent with the city's vision for the Wall Street area. But I'll open up the questions to any of the commissioners.
So the timing that is expected, I'm looking, I can't find it. When this is going to be finalized?
So the transit district anticipates switching over their operations to their new bus routes and their new hubs on August 11th. So we would look to implement new roadway striping, adjust the signage, and work on minor traffic signal modifications at Belden Avenue and Burnell Boulevard to allow this to happen for that date. So to turn over the roadway for August 11th.
I must say, of course, it is an improvement. I thank you very much for the detail you provided on the outcome that's expected to benefit Norwalk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned that there are going to be other hubs, Garrett, where the buses will be able to, I guess, negotiate with regard to pulling in and pulling out.
Yeah, so we're our NTD is currently finalizing their plans. We asked Matt Pence to be available. I'm not sure if he's here to speak more about the other hubs themselves, but they're working on finalizing their plans. And if there's any, if that includes any major impacts to the transportation network, that would definitely move before this traffic authority.
Okay. Sounds like growth to me, particularly since you are investing in that area, and to be able to go in and out of the Yankee Doodle garage from both sides sounds like an improvement for the city of Norwalk.
It's going to be a huge value add for that garage, and the parking authority has invested a tremendous amount into maintaining a state of good repair of that garage, but also into facade enhancements, which will be coming very shortly to improve the aesthetics of the garage and make it more inviting, and also more comfortable for customers and provide just the overall better user experience.
Garrett and commissioners, we do have Matt Pence on in case you want to hear from him.
Hey guys, I'm here.
We'll leave speak
Matt.
time.
Yep, if you have any questions, just let me know. But Garrett's recap was accurate, and Mr. Sumter, to answer your question, some of the other hubs will be the more connectivity at the South Norwalk train station as well as the East Norwalk train station. So we're working through logistics on how we're going to operate in a new scenario. But yeah, Garrett had a pretty good recap here, and we're going to be able to achieve that.
Thank you.
So in the meantime, what are you doing with the way the buses are gonna go in? Obviously, they're not gonna go in on the angle that they are now.
Yeah, that's correct. So when we do the restriping of the roadway and it's converted to a two-way roadway, the roadway is actually really wide today. It's in many sections 52 feet or wider. The buses will be reconfigured so that they pull in at a parallel angle, so they'll park parallel to the curb, and they'll do that on both sides of the roadway. And I do want to note that this operation, there's 15 pull-in parking spaces today. 15 buses arrive at one time today. Matt can speak better to it, but the actual number of buses arriving at any one time will decrease, as well as the number of buses moving through this location in the future. So it no longer needs to accommodate all of the activity you see happening here, which is why it's feasible to do as an interim condition now. And then we'll look at doing some enhancements through the future streetscape project that's coming to this roadway, which we anticipate begin construction in August of 2026.
Thank you.
Any further comment or discussion?
I have none, Mayor.
I have none.
I have none.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And that brings us up to item G. Will somebody move that forward?
I move item G to approve speed limit changes on various streets in Wall Street neighborhood.
Who's going to handle this from TMP?
I will speak to this one, Mayor Rilling. So building on what Garrett had just said about the Wall Street master plan and the vision for the area and the amount of investment that we've put into this area, it only is fitting that we ensure that we're doing everything we can to make the Wall Street neighborhood a low-speed, traffic-calmed, pedestrian and cyclist-friendly neighborhood. So Wall Street itself is already set to 25 miles per hour from Belden and West all the way to East Avenue and Park Street. The adjacent side streets or neighborhood streets, including Main Street, High Street, Ninth Street, Burnell, which we just talked about, and River Street, are unsigned. They don't have any speed limit signs on them right now, but we would like to establish a lower speed limit, lower than the default of 30 miles per hour. So our request here today is to get your approval to go to the state, to OSTA, and request a lower 25 mile per hour speed limit on the streets that I just mentioned. We strongly believe that given the existing speeds that we're seeing, which already are basically in line with the speed limits that we're thinking of 25 miles per hour, we think that this is the right move and will benefit us going forward with our design and enable us to have better traffic calmed designs for the streets that we're investing in.
Just a process question.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have to come from the traffic authority or can it come from TMP, the request?
The request comes from what the state designates as the local traffic authority. That's actually designated as Director of TMP or Jim Travers. But before we do that, we always get approval from the city's traffic authority, you guys.
So there doesn't have to be anything in the letter that said on June 16th, the Board of, the Traffic Authority approved this request or approved this.
We haven't been putting that in the letters, but it is a good backup to have. We might start attaching the meeting minutes to our request
Okay.
letters as
Yeah,
Yeah, I
probably
think
the minutes-
also historically,
The minutes would be fine, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's what I believe that's what we historically have done is attach the meeting minutes from the meeting in conjunction with the letter.
All right. Any comments or questions from the commission?
Yes. Ben, can you scroll back up to the grid that you were citing, that grid? So you mentioned that this is current on the fourth column from the left, 85 percentile speed. That's current, is that correct?
Yes.
So, but you're asking for 25. Does that mean that you're going to increase the River Street or keep it the same at 20?
Well, for River Street being such a short street, we probably, I mean, right now the default speed limit is 30 miles per hour. It's highly unlikely that any vehicles are getting up to that speed given the short length of the segment. So we probably wouldn't, advertise 25 miles per hour. So on the books, it will be 25 miles per hour. And long term, what we're gearing up for is potentially establishing an even lower speed limit through a pedestrian safety zone. River Street would be included in that, and that might be a 20 mile per hour speed zone.
Right. No, and I agree with your premise completely. You just made a reference though to you wouldn't advertise it. I don't know what that means. You can, but I'm just saying. The point is that if you're requesting from 30 to 25, it would appear, at least anyway, that anything below that would, bring it up to 25. And I would agree with you that River Street is so short, it doesn't warrant that. So,
basically what I mean by not advertising is not signing it, given that it's almost taken as part of the look, feel, and design of the street that, as a driver you're going on, that it's a low speed street and you wouldn't go that fast. So it's not necessary to sign it as a 25 mile per hour roadway.
So there would be no signs, is that what you're suggesting?
Probably not for River Street, not at 25 at least.
Would it make sense to sign it?
Just a point of clarification. If a road is not posted, it's automatically 30 miles an hour. Is that correct?
That's well, in what we do is we go to OSTA. So OSTA actually has for the entire state a comprehensive listing of all city and state roads and their speed limits. So it's up to the municipality for municipal roads to sign those streets. So it would enable us, once we get approval from OSTA, to go to be able to sign it at 25.
Right.
But we don't necessarily have to do so. However, if we see that there's a problem for some reason in the future, that we have that option to post 25.
Ben, I think we should look at signing it. So part of, to Commissioner Lopez's comment, part of this request is really to provide consistency within the neighborhood. Wall Street is 25 miles per hour. River Street would be 25 miles per hour, and all the adjacent roadways. So when you enter this village and this business district from either side, there's consistent driver expectation that it is 25 miles per hour. To Ben's point, I think in the future, there is a possibility of looking at this area as a pedestrian safety action zone, but that none have been approved in the state, and that would require a lengthy application process. But there is ability to further bring down the speeds. But I think at this time, what we want to do prior to any of the infrastructure actually being built is really just provide consistency across the neighborhood. And part of that consistency will be, signing all of the roadways with consistent signage.
Any further questions or comments?
No, I have, the only thought was, to your point, Garrett, that you mentioned at some point in the future we will. And I'm just wondering, okay, that's fine, but why not now? And why incur, with signage anyway, additional costs when we could just, in other words, if the thought is to eventually do it, what's holding us back from doing it now? That's my only question.
So, state legislature in the last year or two created this pedestrian safety action zone where you can request actually 20 miles per hour. Because OSTA approves the speed limits for roadways in the cities, they deem typically 20 miles per hour too slow for the traveling public, unless there's special circumstances. So I think what we are trying to do is create the infrastructure, particularly River Street, where it's going to be, from what we've heard from the community, really a festival street, a slow speed street, a curbless raised street. We would provide the infrastructure to then go back and petition CONDOT to do something that, is typically not done and must be done through a special application process. So I think that's the reason why not now, but we are trying to be in the petition that's before you today. We're trying to be proactive based on some of the data we're seeing, and trying to change the culture of driver behavior throughout this area now.
Thank you. You're paving the way.
I think so.
No pun intended, of course.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, that was intended.
That was a lot of,
Yeah, that was
I
definitely
appreciate it.
intended.
there was a lot of fun in there.
Yeah. Any further comments or questions?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, seeing no questions, all in favor of this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, motion carries. And now we, next meeting for this body would be Monday, July 21st. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:08. Now we have to get online for the police commission.
Thank you,
Okay.
commissioners.
Thank you.